What's up? It's been, I think I took a whole week off, so it's been a bit, but I'm back with the no code list live rebuild. Um, Today is kind of a general day. I'm going to make like an edit profile page and style some stuff around that in the sign in. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to just keep it general and relevant to a lot of different things because they're all just general concepts. And then sorry. Moving forward, I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do with this live stream, but I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna stop doing the no code list probably end of this week or end of next week. Probably end of this week, I think. No matter where it is, and pick up on stuff that's a little more focused. And so I'll announce what it is because I'm not totally sure yet. I mean, I know I have an idea, but I'm not totally solidified in everything. But I think what I'm going to do is switch it up. So for the rest of this build, I'll probably just try to cover things I think are interesting. And then I'm going to finish this up and launch it, update the actual nocodalist.co with the builder version as soon as I can. So that's just in the wild. I have a lot more I wanted to do with it too, but the more I thought about other things I could do with the live stream, the more I realized it's smarter to kind of move on. But I do have some more side projects I'm going to do parts of or all of on the live stream. It's just going to be more like kind of centered around a theme or focused. I think it'll be better. Anyway, so that's just a little update, and I'll talk more about that later in the week. Maybe I'll figure out what's coming next and announce it next time. But for today, I thought I'd do edit profile and, like I said, styling. The edit profile is not created anywhere yet, so I'll just make it. And actually, it's kind of funny because it doesn't exist on the current live site. Sort of like a big shortcoming is I never made an edit profile page. It's like a little bit weird. So all it is, well, it can be whatever I want. Right now, all it is when you sign up, you have an email. So currently, if you are in the system and you are commenting, all I would know as the builder is your email. So I'm gonna make like a profile, like an avatar, name, company, link, bio, whatever. That way we can display them on a profile page, but also we can, when you comment on software, you can have the little tag under the comment for who said it and show your profile picture and that kind of thing. So here I am in Builder, just to refresh. So you can see a few pages on the infinite canvas. This over here is like, well, it's probably a little small. Oops, I forgot to select a page. So there's like a home page here that lists these cards, and then each of these cards, each piece of software is an individual page. There's a few all over. This sign-in page, I'm going to make something similar to this, where it's got a header component, something simple in the middle, and a footer component. But it'll be a brand new page. And the other thing that I'll do as part of this is the menu right now has join us and sign in. And then when you're signed in, it just says sign out. We'll switch that up and show how to accommodate that. So there's an actual edit profile link instead. And then put the, like the little avatar up there. So it's kind of common when you're signed into a service. Okay, so first thing I'll do on this new page, like every page, is pop the header and footer on. So that's a component. And I can drop it on and then select header. And then another component for footer. And then my personal method of just doing these sections, I'll do a section and a container inside of it. And this setup is going to change a little, actually. We've got some new elements coming pretty soon that are switch up my system. So that's one of the things I'm excited about in a future live stream is showing the sort of like the more streamlined way to handle creating these sections and elements and stuff. which is better than this way. So I'm excited to show that and switch up to that. But anyway, for now, in this version, what I do is I just have my own classes for a section and a container. I remove everything else. All right, and you can see on the canvas, it's just blank. It's just empty, which is what I want. I don't need any of the default styles. Okay, so now this page, when you are signed in, you'll get the link to here. So when you come to this page, it's going to load fresh, and the first thing that I, as the builder, want to do is get the current user's info. So you always have access in Builder to a collection, or the same way you get other data collections. You have a special collection for current user, so you can get the current user's data at any point. And so there's a number of ways I could like create elements and set that in. What I usually do is set some whatever like form I need on the page, the inputs or the selects or whatever is going to make up that profile. I set all those elements in and I pull the user info into a variable on page load, and then that variable can update all the fields. But there's a number of different ways to do it. So that's how I'm going to do it for this. If I were coming in from a different direction or doing, if this was part of another page, I might switch that up. But that's how I'm going to do this one. So I'm just going to start building out like a couple fields, and then I'm going to do that variable. That's kind of usually how I do it. So I'll start by adding a blank container. Whoops. That's nothing, no styles, just to hold everything. Because I keep these, independent for other reasons I explained earlier. And then this container here, which is basically a form, but I don't use the form tag. It's better to in a lot of situations, but in this actual case, I don't think it's as important. And I'm going to try to accommodate for anything like pressing enter in the form to submit and all that kind of stuff, so that it's not like less usable. The form tag makes it a little more a lot more usable, like accessible. So anyway, I'm just using a container, which is a div, as my form, and then I'm gonna put some inputs into it. So the one I know for sure would be like name. So I'm just gonna consider this name, and I'll call it text input name. And then maybe like bio. I feel like we'll definitely have a bio, so let's do a rich text for that. And I think I'll just like stop there and make the rest, and then do avatar next, because it'll be good examples of everything. So you can see on the screen I've got a blank input and a blank text area. And just for clarity, I'll add some labels. This would be name, and I think I might have a label. Well, first I'll put the no code list styles on there, but I think I might have a label subclass already, a utility class. That works. Text box label. Okay, and then copy this element, paste it, call this bio. All right. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a variable on page load, and then I'm going to load the values if they exist into here. And that way when we test it for the first time, it would, well, it's not, I didn't fill these out yet, but it would be in theory filled out. So let's do page binding. Oh, actually, I'm gonna do this a better way. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take advantage of Builder's page binding, and I'm gonna do on page load, I'm gonna set a variable, and then I'm gonna bind these. Actually, well, I don't want to go back on myself and start over, but I did just think of a cooler way to do it with autosave, but I wasn't going to do that way. So I'm just going to continue on this path. It doesn't really matter. The output is always the same. There's just a lot of options, a lot of ways you can do it in Builder. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do page load. I'm going to set a variable for the current user, current page, and call it current user. And the value I'll just get from data collection, current user, all fields. And so what that's going to do is that's going to set this variable that's like a JSON array For now, it's just going to have login ID and my email, like as my email. But as we update the profile, it'll have all the different values like name, whatever, bio, whatever. So if I set that variable before I run the page binding and then I wait in between, then in this page binding, that's where the actual, like if you have, say I'm on this input and I come into the binding and I bind data in here, this page binding is where that happens. So if I set the variable before there and make sure it waits in between, then I can use that variable on these page bindings. So I'm going to give that a shot. So this one would be from variable current user. I wonder, I think there's a 0 in there. Well, if it doesn't work, I'll remove that. And then it would be .name, but I'm going to do a test right now and just do .login ID, which is email. And so if this works, this should say my email in here. And then I'll make it so these other values save and then we can display them. Oh, and actually before I test, I need to set the page route. So it's another cool thing to show. I created this edit profile page, but it doesn't, Builder doesn't know if it's a page that people browse to or if it's if it's a component inside another page. So I go to URL routes here and I can just create a new one. And this will be, I'm going to do member edit like that for the actual route. And then for unauthenticated, meaning if they're not signed in, I don't want them to actually see the edit profile page. It doesn't make sense. So for unauthenticated, let's send them to sign in, I guess. Sign in, sign up. That way, if they're trying to edit their profile, or if it was bookmarked and then they're not signed in, they go to it, it'll prompt them to sign in. But if they are authenticated, that's where we select our new page, edit profile. Now that I created that, I can test it. And I think I'm signed in this. Oh, I guess I'm not. So this, I can just sign in from anywhere. Won't do anything on this page yet, but if I refresh, I should see something. So there we go. So now I see the page. I forgot to add a page style, I notice, but I see the page. I see my login ID is in the field. So I know that all the pipes are there. Everything's set up and working correctly. So now I'll add that page style really quickly. The reason it's white, sorry. The reason it's white and doesn't have the font is because on this new page I created, I have to go to styling here and I have my own no code list page body class. Not sure what I called it. Oh, body class. So there you go. Now it's updated. So before I can link this, I can fix this linkage. I can say this should link to name and this one should be bound to bio. And the .0 is because it comes back as an array. And so that's bio. So now they're linked up, but I need to save them somehow on the front end, but B, I need to create those fields in the actual database. So when you create any builder project, you get this users table, and you can see in here I've created comments and upvotes comments from previous live streams, but this users table, I can actually just add whatever fields I want at this point. So it defaults to this. It's got the default kind of metadata that each collection has, and it just pretty much has login ID. It has a password, but as the creator of an app, through Builder, you don't have access to your users' passwords like that. It's very secure. So you don't see password in here, but technically there's password attached to the user. So anyway, I need new fields. I need name and I need bio. And I'm gonna need avatar so I can create that profile image. I'm not sure what else. I'm not gonna create them all, but just have those in there. And so now that they're in there, I can save to them and use them as part of the user. So they'll come through now in that current user special collection. I have access to those columns now. All right, so what I need to do is when the user changes one of these values, I want to save the profile. So I can decide, do I want to save it when they just, blur that field, when they click outside that field, or do I want to have a save button? In this case, I think I'm going to do a save button because like you might edit your bio and you're thinking about it and you're whatever. You don't want it to go live as you type or as you click off the field. So I'll put a little save button in here and then we'll create one action that will just read each field and save it. So the first thing I'll do is a button. And just drop it here so it goes at the end. And then I've got a no code list specific button class here, and then I'll keep it black for now. So this button text will say save, and then I can create an action group for saving. So this would be like save profile. And so save profile, the main thing it's going to do is data update record, a built-in builder action where I choose the record collection, the data collection, and then tell it what to upload, like by selecting field, or what to update by selecting fields. So in this case, current user is a special table, a special collection, and I don't have to care like what my user ID is and filter by or anything like that. I just select current user. So it knows it's going to update that now. And now it's going to give me these field value pairs, and I just match these up with the fields on this canvas here. So first one is name, and I have name. I just created in the data collection. That's where this list pulls from. So I say name, and I'm going to set it as the element value, current page, text input name, and then value. And so that means whatever's in here is what, when I click save, it will save as name. So when the page loads, it pre-populates whatever's in the database. And then when they click save, no matter what is in there, it's just going to overwrite everything and save it. But that works. It works how it's intended. And then I just add another field. I map another field down here for bio. And I take that from element value, rich text. And then as I do more, like the avatar or website or whatever I might put in here, I just come back and add to this update record action. So save profile is good there. Next thing I have to do is on this save, just bind it to the button. So save profile is now bound to that button. And I'm going to do more. I'll test this first. I'm going to do more to that in a second, like disable the button if the profile is saved, because users need that feedback. You can't just you'll see when I test this, but when you click the button and nothing happens, you don't know it's saved. So there is more to do, but we can actually test that it saves the values, I think, here. So if I did like this, and like this, well, that should have saved. I didn't open the network or anything. So the way I'll test that is if I refresh, these values should fill in. They didn't. So all I'm going to do here, inspect element and go to the network tab. And then what I can do is I can see it'll make a network call to update any data. That's how it works. So you can see this 5. It did work. It's just not using the field name there. So I think basically because I did this method where I used a variable, which I just chose to do kind of arbitrarily, because I did that, instead of using the name, I should just use these numbers. And so I can see that 8 is name and 9 is bio. That's not super intuitive, and you might not know that. I happen to know that just because I know how it works on the back end. So it's probably better to stick to a different method, but at the same time, like I can show how it doesn't stop you. You're not going to get held up really ever. So you can kind of see that if you knew enough to look in this network, you could pick that up, and then all I have to do is on these bindings where I typed name there, I would just be like 8. And on this one, I would be like 9. And so it probably overwrote my bio last time, but the name pops in, and then I can say I run the no code list, and then that should be in there too. All right. A little weird with that placeholder, but if I go like that, it'll fix. I'll fix that later. I mean, I know also like in this new update that element's all redone and that won't happen. So not important to show. But anyway, that works now. And so forget what I said I was going to do before. That might be good to move on to avatar, because avatar is like a trickier one. So you could take these fields and you can apply that to almost anything else, like a website, a Twitter handle, whatever. You just copy the field. It's just a text field. Image elements are a little different, not really, but maybe a little different. So there's an upload element in Builder, image uploader. And I can put that here, and I can put a label over it for, I call it avatar, but that's not really like a human word anymore, I feel like. So maybe like profile image. I don't know actually what that should be, but that's better than avatar, I think. And so this image uploader element in Builder, it works a lot like an input. You can get and set the value of it and stuff like that. And what it'll do is as soon as they upload, as soon as the user clicks on it and chooses an image, it previews it. Instead of this image of an upload icon, it'll preview it in there, and then but it won't actually do anything with it. And then on your own, like in my save function here, I just get the value of this and save. It'll actually pull that temporary image and save it to the database. So in my case, to start, I don't have to do anything really weird here. I just put the image uploader, and I can call it something for clarity just because it's good practice. And then I just go add that to my save profile fields. So I map a field down here. I select avatar. And it's the same thing, from element value, but this time I choose image uploader and keep it on value. So that'll work. And then the only thing there is I didn't set it in. I'm not actually sure if I can bind it in the same way. Let me try that. And this one, to use that number system, the last one was 9, and I created this like 2 seconds after, so I'm pretty positive that'll be 10. We'll call it like that. Put that. So yeah, so this should just work, and I think it'll look a little goofy. The image will be stretched out at first. Oh shoot! So I just see that this is a bug. This is the old image uploader. And so it actually won't work. It'll sort of work. It'll like look like it uploads, but I don't think it'll save. It's just got a bug. So I must have created this project while that old image uploader was there. It's going to be fixed permanently in a second, no matter what. Because like I said, we have this new update coming, but this is easily fixed in the dev library. But off the top of my head, I'm not sure like which projects have the most updated. So I might actually not fix that now. You'll just have to take my word for it that when this image uploader element acts just like the other elements, because it does. And maybe like I can come back to that and switch that out towards the end. But for now, I think instead of getting distracted there, I'll keep moving and just kind of make this page look a little nicer. So all I did right now is put a container with nothing around it for this form, and it looks crazy. For one thing, oh, well, I guess I don't have any styles in these. So I have to decide, do I want a white background in this section, which would be, so I have two kind of layouts. I have a yellow background layout like this one, or on the individual pages, sorry, it's taking a minute. The individual pages, I have kind of like a white background layout. So first I have to decide what I want for the edit profile page. Just type in to get back to it. And I think to keep it simple, I'm going to keep it like this, the yellow. And then I'll just add styles to the inputs to remove the white background and either do a transparent or yellow background. That way it'll look nice. But the main thing I was coming in here to talk about is this super wide form, which is not good. It would be good at a smaller screen to be 100% width, Nothing wrong with that, especially like on mobile phone if it's here. But we just have to limit it basically because it's way too huge out here. So this container that has nothing on it, I can give it a class. I'm actually going to give it a utility class because it's not, I don't think I'll use this again. It's not a primary class. But we'll just call it edit profile form. And what I can do is either in this view where I can know the property and type max width, or in the all props view, there's a max width. You know, you can find it in here under size and max width. I just want to give it some max width. So let's try like 600 pixels of a max width, but then a width of 100%. And so what that'll do is just just wrangles it in a little nicer. And then I don't want it necessarily like lined up on the left side. And I have on the current sign in, sign up, this is what it looks like. And I think the new one will look the same. So what I think I'll do for this edit profile is I'll have some kind of image over here or something over here, and then put the form on the right side. So to do that, I'm just going to keep this form container as is, but wrap another container around it or put another container above it. And then this container will be, so I don't need this. I'm going to make it 2 columns. And I don't need this really as a class or anything. It's the one place I'm going to do it. I just want to quick put it in there. So I'm just going to write it on the inline styles and just say display grid. And then the grid template columns, 1 fractional width and 1 fractional width, which is like saying half and half. And then I do a column gap of 1em just so those columns don't butt up against each other. So now whatever I put inside of this container, we'll use that basically. It'll be, if you put something in here, it'll be 50% wide. So I have this form, but I want to put it to the right side. So I can just put a blank container for the first column. And then it pushes that to the right side. So now it looks like that. And so I don't know what graphic I'll put in there, but I'll put something in there at some point. And so for the inputs themselves, I didn't really style like I have this stuff here, and I didn't really style these, but I did add some classes to here that were from this original like search bar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go make a generic input style that I'll use. I'll keep the search bar as its own input style that it is, and then I'll use on these sign-in forms and on the edit profile, I'll use this new kind of like general input. So, sorry. First thing is I probably have a no code list one. Yep, so I'll do input no code list. Let's see actually where that gets me. I gotta sign back in. Oh yeah, I'm gonna type in the member /edit. All right, so it looks like it just made it crazy looking and big. And then I think I probably just have some utility classes for this. I don't know what I might have called them. Let me just check. So let's go over to the search page and just see what I have here. Oh, the base class is different, input search. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to check this input search base class. And then I'll probably move some of these classes out of here. So let's see what this looks like. Yeah, that's more what I want. So that's this one here, and you can see it matches the site a little nicer, but it doesn't really look great in that exact scenario. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into this input search class, and I can see it has a lot of classes. I'm just going to grab these all in the CSS, and then I'll go back to this input, and I had that no code list class on there. Ooh, that actually has. Oh, you know what? I'm using that for something else. I'm gonna make a new class. I thought that was a blank class. I almost just overrode something. I'm gonna fix that name later of the other one because I know if I confuse myself now, I'll do that same exact thing later. So, and then I'll make this one probably, I'll remove the general, but for now I know how to distinguish with that. So I created a blank new class, which is gonna be the class for the general text inputs here, and I pasted that CSS back in that I had. And one of the things I noticed is that to me, it looked too small on this page. Like, I feel like it's just a bigger page, it could be bigger. So I probably have a font size somewhere, or if I don't, I can add a font size. And I might just try, I don't even know where it was getting its font size before. So if I do 1.25M, yeah, that's more what I was picturing. And then I don't, in this case, I don't like this padding. I know in the search, which I copied this from, I needed that padding, but I don't want that here. So I can go to this padding here. Do I want any padding? I think I'll just do 0 all around for now. So I'll take care of that. And then it looks like this is getting limited at 450. So I have a choice. It's probably better than 600 that it gets limited. So I was going to say I have a choice of making this 100%, or I can go in and change the limits on this form. So I'm just going to change the max width in that form. And here, actually, since I just took a second to find that form, it reminded me I should do proper name. Okay. And I just saw this was 450 in the other class. That's how I knew that exact number. All right. And then, so now I need to make this bio. I can try to just add the same class onto here, but it's a little different, so it might not work. Yeah, this is input rich text. I'm going to make this, oh, let's just try it. I mean, I could do it like this. It looks weird to have a short bio, but actually in real life, now that I'm thinking about it, I would want bios to be like 1 or 2 lines. So maybe I'll keep it like this. They can still add links and do this stuff to it, but, or maybe you know what I can do is just put a little bit of a inline style and just say min height, maybe like 200 pixels. That's way too much. Yeah, something like that. Okay, and then I'll just add, you know, this button shouldn't butt up against, and it's a really quick thing if you just like add a little inline style, margin top 1M. A lot of people and a lot of style sheet, like I don't know what you call them when you can get like tailwinds and stuff like that. They'll do classes like a class called margin top 1M. So that's another approach to building. Normally, I think it's sort of like considered, or it's traditionally it's been considered bad practice to do like classes that are styles that are named as styles, but I think these days it's pretty accepted and actually like a pretty efficient way to build. So some people take that approach where instead of what I do is put an inline style here, they would have like these pre-built classes in their project already for like margin top 1M or just margin top and it's always 1M. So you could do that kind of thing too, but I like this inline properties, inline style approach. It's how I would write it in code, and it's how I was like always have written it in code, so I just do it that way. So I think that's pretty good. I'm not going to style the profile image because I have to go update the element, so I'm not going to bother changing that, but it's not supposed to look like this. It would have the upload icon, and then if they did already have a profile picture, I'd actually display it here in a circle. And I don't really know what else I want in their bios right now. So I think what I'm going to do is move on to the header here to send you to this page. And then we can make the comments. We can have the author, you know, like link it up. It won't show the profile image because I didn't upload one, but we can get it all set up and ready for that. So, and let me just think if I want to do anything else to this quickly. I mean, I guess I don't. I think that's fine. Oh, you know what I forgot is we should do this save button, because when I click save here, that's all that happens. That definitely needs to be fixed, and that's something that's kind of cool to look at. So what I have now is on the button, there's a save profile action. So one of the things I can do is when you click the save button, that's when this action is going to trigger. So the first thing I want to do is disable that button. And that's one like really easy way to know you click the button is when it disables. And so I think there's a element disable. There's a pre-built action. I'll put it right at the top and I'll just select this button. And then I don't need to wait in between. I can just I can start updating the record right away. Then when the record updates, I guess what I'll do, so either way, whether the record succeeds or fails the update, I'm gonna want to enable that button, because you could just save your profile right again. Oh, actually, you know what I can do? Maybe not do that. You know what I can do is instead, what I was gonna say is I'll always enable that button, so I was just gonna do it right away. But actually instead, I'm gonna keep that button disabled, and I'm gonna actually, when you come to the page, I'm gonna load the page with that button disabled, and I'm gonna write saved past tense on there. And then only when you change a value in one of the fields, then it'll enable the button and switch to save. And that's like a super great indicator of knowing that your profile is saved. And then it says save, like when you can save it, you know instinctively that it's not saved. Click save and it saves. So let's see. So right now I'm just disabling it. I need to also disable it when this loads up. And there's a couple ways to disable, like when you disable a button in HTML, you're adding an attribute to that tag. So there's built-in actions in Builder that are like element disable and element enable. All they do is add that attribute or remove it. And there's also other actions for adding and removing attributes. And then there's also the JSON itself of the element. So I can come into the JSON and come into this attributes here, and I could actually right here say, whoops, disabled. I think I would have to go like this in this case. In HTML, you just have to have disabled, but you can write disabled equals true. So if I did that, this should start the profile disabled. Doesn't look like it did though. But anyway, that's not a good way to do it anyway. And I don't know why that didn't work. Maybe I even needed to clear something, but I'm just gonna see if the other way works too, or first. But what I can do is I can just on page load, I can just say element disable. Whoops, search for the wrong word. And if I do this and select the button, then I know it should disable. And I'm guessing now that I just did that and thought it didn't work, I'm guessing it actually did work the first time, and there's styles on it that just showed that hand cursor. So this might be the same thing. Oh, no, it didn't work. So now it's disabled. And so I do have styles that show the hand cursor, so I'll need to remove that. What I'll do is I'll add a new class. When that button's disabled, I'll also add a class, because that's the easiest way for me to control it. Technically, if I didn't have my own class on here that's adding this hand cursor, it wouldn't have it, because a true disabled element doesn't have it in HTML, and this is a true disabled element. Like clicking on it is not saving the profile. But anyway, so all I had to do there is just set this when the page loads, and that's fine. That works for me. And then the other thing is I want to make that display text say saved. So now what it feels like when you come to this edit profile page is you can tell very clearly your profile is saved right there. And so what I'll do is I'll create two action groups now to basically enable that button and disable that button. And so in the original save profile, I ran one action for element disable. I actually want to do a couple actions every time I disable now, because I want to disable it with the attribute, and then I want to add a class for disabled. So the efficient way to do that is to create an action group, and I could call it disable, save button. And I can create a complementary action group enable save button. And the disable, I can set up first. I'll do that same thing where I disable it. Just choose it. And then here I'm going to add a class. And actually, I didn't create this class, I don't think yet. I'll check. First, I'll create the class. But basically, I'm just going to add a class of button disabled to element button. And then that'll just make it look disabled, a little more disabled for the user. Which in this case, all I really need to do is remove the cursor because it did go, 50% transparent or whatever percent. So I have button no code list. If I do, I'm just doing this kind of like to mock it up. But if I have this button here and I do a new utility class for button no code list, am I typing today? Disabled. Then I can add and remove that at will and do whatever I want to it. So in this case, I'll go cursor. I'm just gonna do auto, which makes it, whatever it should be. I guess actually I do want this on here to start. So I was about to remove this to start. Like I just set that up as a test, and then I'll add it and remove it programmatically. But actually, when this page loads, that button's disabled. So I'm gonna leave this class on the save button, and you can see it real quick. So now there's no mystery. That is not a button you click. Easy. So in here, I'm just going to choose that new style that I created. I might need to come out of here and come back in. Button no code list disabled. Add it to button. And so now I have this disable save button. And then I do the same but opposite for enable. So the first thing I'll do is enable element. Choose the button. And now I'm going to remove that class. Button disabled from the button. And all that is having those now as that I can use as a single action, basically. They're not triggered anywhere. So I'll come back into this page load, and instead of element disable save button, I could actually keep that because I already have the class on there. I kind of did it manually. But just to be a little more correct, I'm going to nest this disable save button in there. And then on the save profile where I previously had element disable, I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to nest this disable save button in there. And I like to put it first. In this case, it barely matters. Come on. These will fire technically one before the other, but basically at the same time. All right, so that's that. And then what I can do now, if I want to, oh, you know what? I wonder if I need to get ahead of myself. So what I can do now is I can, on this element here, like the image, the text for the name, and the rich text for the bio, I can put an action on these that if they're changed or if they're blurred to enable that button. Oh, and then there's one more thing I'll add to the button enabled in a second. So on this text input name, I can come into the events tab and I have like change, focus, blur. Change would be, I think in this case I want to do it on change. I want it to be like, if you press a key, the save button comes up, I think. So I could even do it on like key up. But I think I'm going to do it on change and blur. So if this is changed in any way, it's going to enable that button now. And then on blur, well, maybe I won't do it in blur actually. That way, if you click into it but don't change it and clicked out, it won't tell you need to save. So right now, click in, click out, doesn't change. But if I add something and click out, it updates. But what I really wanted is I wanted it to update as I typed, which it doesn't. You have to wait till I click out. I guess the change fires in the click out. So what I can do is I can actually say like on key down, enable save button. It should work. Nice. Save it, and then it goes blank, and then this. Yeah. And so the one thing missing here, if you noticed, is it says saved at all times. So what I can do is I can add that into the enable and disable functions. I can change the words of that button too. So it's another way just to be like pretty efficient. So what I can do is I can say, when you enable the button, you want it to say save because you want them when they click it, it's a save button. So when you enable, I do set value, element set value, choose the button, and just write save. And then on the disable, I do a set value, I choose the button, and I say saved past tense. Now, what this is going to do, I'm doing this a little bit of a tricky way. What this is going to do is anytime the button is disabled, it's going to change the word to saved past tense. So if you are about to save your, this will actually look correct, I think. If you're going to save your profile like this, and you go like this, that looks correct. So that's fine. But technically it said saved before it was actually saved. So just to be like, well, actually, I'm not going to do this because it's unnecessary. But what I was going to say is just to be like nitpicky, you add a step in there where it says saving ... And then when you confirm it's saved, you switch it to saved. But I'm actually not going to do that because that's a lot for a very small payoff. And it's like, I basically always know it's going to save. And in the case it doesn't, it's not high stakes. So, because I would have to do a lot and then I'd have to like figure out if it was done saving, do extra stuff. Whereas right now I'm done. So I think I'll just leave it like this. And then I need to set this up on the bio field, same thing. I come into events and I can say on key down, enable that save button, or on change. One of the reasons I'll do key down and change is if someone comes in and pastes with the mouse, like right clicks and hits paste, the value changes, but it wouldn't fire that key down event. So it's kind of random, and it also, the change is just kind of a catch-all. It'll catch anything coming out of there. So let me just make sure this works. Yep. And I wonder like if I can demonstrate that even. I don't know if this will work if I demonstrate this, but let me try. Oh, I forgot it's rich text. I can demonstrate in here. So yeah, so it did an update there, but then if I clicked off, it would know that I needed to save it. All right, so cool. So I mean, that's pretty intuitive there. I really need to think about what fields from like a functional standpoint. Building them out is going to be simple, but I got to think of what I want in there. But I think as far as the profile page goes and as far as today goes, that's good to go. And then what I can do next, since there's no way to get to that page, I can come down here to my header component. And on the header component, I have this menu drop down under the members link. And depending on whether you're signed in or signed out, it's going to show and hide certain options. So I got one for join us, one for sign in, and one for sign out. I basically just need to make a new one for edit profile. And I guess, I don't know what to call it. I'll just call it this. Edit profile for right now. And it's member/edit. And then what I want is, let's see. Oh, that whole thing's hidden. So I'm going to choose basically when I want it hidden and when I want it shown based on when they're signed in or signed out. So on the right side here, I have these action groups, and I have action groups already for set state signed in and for set state signed out. And they just are doing other things too, but one of the things they're doing is hiding and showing these different links under the menu dropdown. So I'm just going to add this in basically. So set state signed out, which I'm on right now. If I'm signed out, I don't want to show an edit profile link. So I just want to hide completely. And then I want to choose that edit profile link I just created. And then label what's going on. So I know there I'm hiding edit profile. And then on set state signed in, I know that I just want to show. Edit profile. And I think as a default state, I want this display none. Yeah, so on the as a default, the sign out has a display none on it. And I'm just going to match that. So as a default, this will get display none. And then it's just a regular link. I don't need an action for it. So yeah, that should be it. So I am signed in now, and I see edit profile and sign out. So if I were on the home page, it doesn't take this long to load these when I'm not live streaming. It's kind of strange how it does this, but interesting. So edit profile takes me to the right page. And then I do need, if I sign out here, I just realized it's not going to change this page. These saves won't work. It won't let me save once I sign out. You know, I'm unauthenticated. But right now, if I hit sign out, it's going to sign me out, but it's not going to change this page. So that's one thing I'll have to add to this. Basically, an action on this page is called set state sign out, or just use an action that says redirect to home page. Well, I won't make it real quick. Coming up to the end. So for now, I'll just do sign out just to check this. All right, join us and sign in. So that's good to go there. And then I'm not going to have time really to finish the comment with the name. So maybe I'll save that to next time so I can do the avatar. So what I'll do is before the next time, I'm going to update that image uploader, and then just so that'll work. And then I think that might be like my last or second to last time on this. So I'll just figure out whatever's cool to show, something interesting, and just do that. But I'm hoping to have a lot done in the meantime. We'll see, because I also have a lot of other stuff going on. But I think that's the plan. And then I'll try to give an update on what I'm going to do in the future. And I'm going to try to make it more exciting and more kind of bite size almost, so that it makes more sense to watch these. But if you have been following along with these, remember they're on that site that's at the top here, no-code-list-rebuild.builder.com. And so I'm going to wrap up now. And as soon as I finish, I'll go upload this one. It takes a minute to upload, but I'll be up this afternoon. And then, yeah, I'll just see you back on Wednesday, 1 p.m. Austin time. Thanks for watching.